It's Local Edition. Brad Pomerance here in Sacramento today, joined by Dante Acosta. He is a member of the California State Assembly. And, sir, I want to speak with you about health care.
Okay.
We'll get to the federal side momentarily.
Oh, thanks.
Let's talk about the state side. I know that for those of us that receive insurance from employers, any premium that we pay is taken out of pre-tax dollars.
Correct.
But if I get insurance through an exchange or otherwise, I have to hit a 7.5% number
threshold
before I can write it off. You're looking to change that.
Absolutely.
Talk to us about the Health Insurance Fairness Act.
Right, AB 782, and what it'll do is it'll bring some parity to the system, particularly for those, as you mentioned, that buy their insurance individually on their own. And we want to take it out of the thought process that health insurance is a luxury and not a necessity. It is a necessity in this day and age. And so what this will do is it'll put us on parity with people that get it through their employer or through a small business owner where they can deduct it depending on their tax status. So from $1, we want to make it where you're able to deduct it and not have to meet the 7.5% threshold. And then you can start deducting. So it just makes it much more fair for individuals.
What do your friends think on the Democratic side? You're a Republican, and obviously you want to get some Democratic friends given the makeup of the legislature. It seems like this could be a nice bipartisan bill.
Yeah, it looks like we're starting to get a little bit of traction with it. I'm not sure on the count right now, but we're working with our friends on the other side of the aisle to make sure that this sees the light of day, because it really is an issue that transcends politics, and particularly partisan politics. It's an issue that affects anyone that on an individual basis buys their insurance.
But I want to talk about the tone surrounding health care, because one would think that the issue should transcend politics. But here we are, and what's going on in Washington, we see that politics is being injected right into the debate. The Republicans are saying that when Obamacare was passed, that they crammed it down their throats, and now Trump care is marching forward. The Democrats are saying that it's being jammed down their throats. And when can we get to a place where we realize these are people's lives?
Yeah. I can't speak too much to what's happening on the federal side, only because it is somewhat up in the air and contentious, and we don't know what's going to happen. Ultimately, all we can do is prepare for several different scenarios as things progress. We'd like to see it settled sooner rather than later from the state level, so we know how to progress.
But I wonder if, given that you are an elected Republican from California, if you can use your influence, or if your caucus can use its influence to explain to the federal government that Trump care, at least as we know it today, could cause some very significant hits to the state of California. I mean, the numbers, again, I'm not taking a position per se on Trump care. I don't know enough. I don't think a lot of us know enough. But what we do know is that the hits to California would be huge.
Yeah, billions of dollars. And to that point, the leader, Republican leader, did travel back to Washington, D.C.
Chad Mays?
Chad Mays.
Sure, of course.
And he was back there and had some conversations with several leaders back there and the congressmen, and came back with, some unanswered questions, but also put our input in terms of what we're looking at as a caucus, but also as a state.
Like, here's an example. I think one area where there's some excitement, even amongst Democrats, if fashioned properly, is this notion of health savings accounts. It's kind of ties into a little bit with AB 782. It's a similar type of situation where you're looking at pre-tax dollars. But what we know is, in order for folks to benefit from either health savings accounts or refundable tax credits, the plan can't offer abortion services. Now, I don't want to get into a debate about abortion because that's not even relevant, but in California, 98% of all plans offer abortion services. So how do Californians benefit from refundable tax credits or health savings accounts?
Well, I'd tell you what I'd like to see, and what a lot of people tell me, is they'd like to see more choice in any of the plans. I mean, I have friends that are unmarried and don't touch a drop of alcohol, and yet they have to have substance abuse and contraception
Right.
and all these other things, and they're like, I will never use these. Why am I paying for it? It'd be akin to you having an older car and being forced to put top-of-the-line comprehensive and collision insurance on that car. I think we need more choice in the system,
But
and then
know,
people can tailor it to their lives.
But you know much better than I that the challenge is you never know when a health crisis will hit.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so you may not think you need, look, when we were in our 20s and 30s, what did we need coverage for?
Right.
But if we got in a car accident, I mean, look, my wife in her early 30s got Crohn's disease.
Yeah.
I mean, who would have thunk that a 31-year-old woman would get Crohn's disease?
Sure.
We could have been bankrupt.
Right.
We had a decent plan.
Yeah, a decent plan, yeah.
And so, look, we're kind of perseverating on an issue. We don't know what's going to happen, but I appreciate your candor on this. I do want to talk about another area, though, where the Republican Party in the legislature has been very keen and really has brought this issue to the forefront. And while I don't take positions, I congratulate the party on this, and that's a issue with dental coverage. Your good friend, our good friend, Brian Mainshine, Republican from San Diego, has been all over the question of Dental-Cal. Dental-Cal, it's called. And it's a priority of the caucus.
Yeah,
I mean, I
is.
see your tweets,
Yeah.
the caucus's tweets, and it's interesting. This we see over and over. What is it about Dental-Cal that speaks to the caucus, the Republican caucus?
Sure. Well, again, it's an issue that it's taking care of, our priorities should be taking care of people that need the help and the most vulnerable in our society. And we talked earlier about my foster youth bill. Dental-Cal, you look at that and you say, there are people in our state that have to travel hours and hours and hours before they can get to a dentist. And the Dental-Cal bill will help to increase the coverage map. And studies have shown that so many preventable diseases, things like heart disease and other things, infections, can come through the mouth and through poor dental hygiene.
It's remarkable. I was speaking with Mr. Mainshine.
Right.
You start having something as simple as gingivitis.
Right.
That's a signal that there may be something else going on.
Correct.
And so it isn't, this luxury like, oh, let's get our veneers done. No. You got a cavity festering.
Basic health.
But interestingly, your friends on the Democratic side have not seemed to jump on board on this, at least last year. Although I think it's, to be fair, I believe you weren't here yet, but I believe the governor vetoed a Dental-Cal bill that the Democrats did support. So where do we go from here?
I think it's a matter of education. It's educating the public so they look for issues like this. I mean, there's appropriate places for us to make the investment, whether it's in public health and safety and welfare, and then there's places where maybe we can we can look at the budget and fine-tune some issues. But basic health care needs, like basic dental care for the most vulnerable in our society, that's an area that I don't think we should be compromising on.
And what's so interesting to me about your caucus is that you have been focused on poverty. It's not an issue that naturally one would expect a Republican caucus to support, but GOP leader Mays and all of you tweet all the time about poverty.
Absolutely. It's an issue that I don't think is something that we can be proud of in this state.
Well stated.
We have the highest poverty rate in the state. I mean, we can look at statistics on this or that issue, but overall, we're not doing a very good job at that. And when you look at the state as a whole, there's so many opportunities to lift everyone up. And I think if I look at my position is, the big guys can take care of themselves, and they have lobbyists, etc., and organizations and trade groups. I want to help, and I think our caucus believes we want to help the people that don't have the lobby.
I'd like you to come back and talk more about poverty.
You bet.
Okay, his name is Dante Acosta. He is an assemblyman for the state of California. I'm Brad Pomerance, Local Edition.